There is a simple, unspoken trust between you and your reflection. You move, it moves. You blink, it blinks. Always perfect. Always synchronized. But what if, just once, your reflection moved a little too late? Not by much. Not enough to be obvious. Just a fraction of a second. A hesitation. Would you notice? And if you did, would it know? I never saw the moment it started. Maybe I had come close before, seconds away from realizing, but my mind had always smoothed over the mistake. Repaired the glitch. But the first time I really saw it was on a Tuesday night. It had been a long, exhausting day at work. The kind where you go home, move through your routine on autopilot, and collapse into bed. That's what I was doing, going through the motions. I walked into the bathroom, flicked on the light, and brushed my teeth. I wasn't paying attention. Just staring through my reflection. Barely aware of it. Then I turned to rinse my toothbrush. And I saw it. A flicker of movement, so subtle, so small that it took a second for my brain to process what was wrong. My reflection had moved just a fraction of a second too late. Not by much. Just enough. I froze, toothbrush halfway to the sink. My heart lurched against my ribs. I turned back slowly, too slowly, as if my reflection might notice. It was fine. Perfectly normal. Perfectly still. But my stomach twisted with unease. Had I imagined it? I raised my hand slowly, watching the mirror with surgical focus. My reflection copied me. No lag. No delay. I exhaled. I was just tired. I imagined it. I flicked off the light and left the bathroom. But as I walked away, my mind wouldn't let go of one thought. What if it was real? And worse, what if it knows I saw? The next night, I was more aware. I didn't just glance at my reflection, I watched it. Testing it. I raised my hand. It followed. I tilted my head. It matched. I sighed, feeling stupid. Then, out of habit, I turned off the bathroom light. And in the split second of darkness, illuminated only by the faint glow of my phone screen in my hand, I saw it. A smile. My reflection was smiling. But I wasn't. It was quick, just a flicker before the room went completely dark, but I saw it. A slow, creeping grin, stretching too wide, like something pretending to be human. My blood turned to ice. My fingers slipped against the wall as I fumbled for the light switch. When the bathroom flashed back to life, my reflection was normal again. Expression neutral. Not smiling. Not anything. I backed out of the bathroom without turning the light off. And for the first time in my life, I was afraid of my own face. I started avoiding mirrors after that. At first, it wasn't hard. I stopped looking at myself in the bathroom. I changed my clothes without glancing at my closet's mirror doors. But reflections are everywhere. I saw them in store windows. In the black screen of my phone before it powered on. In the dark glass of my TV at night. And every time, I felt it. That sensation of being watched. Not in a normal way. Not in a my own face is staring back at me way. Something else. Like I wasn't alone in the glass anymore. Like my reflection was waiting for something. And then, one night, it made its move. It happened at work. I was exhausted, barely thinking, running on caffeine and stress. I walked into the office bathroom, turned on the faucet, and looked up without thinking. And there he was. It was me, but not me. Something was off. The sharpness of my jaw. The brightness of my eyes. And worst of all, he wasn't blinking. I blinked. He didn't. I swallowed, taking a step back. And then, he tilted his head. Not naturally. Not like a human. A jagged, mechanical tilt, like a broken puppet being tested by an unseen hand. My stomach lurched. My body screamed to run. But my legs wouldn't move. I was trapped in his gaze. And then, he smiled. Slow. Wide. Wrong. I backed out of the bathroom, heart hammering. And just as I turned away, just as I forced myself to not look anymore, I heard it. A whisper. Almost ready. I ran. I didn't sleep that night. I felt him everywhere. Every mirror felt like a door. And then, one night, he stepped through. I woke up at 3:13 a.m. The air in my room was wrong, too still, pressing against my skin. And in the closet mirror across from my bed, he was standing there. Not a reflection. Not a trick of the light. He was inside the mirror. Watching. Waiting. And then, as if sensing my terror, he stepped forward. Glass didn't break. There was no shattering. He simply stepped out. I felt the shift in the air. The cold breath of something unnatural filling my lungs. He took a step toward me. And then, he whispered. "You don't need to be afraid." His voice was mine. But wrong. I tried to move. I tried to scream. But the last thing I remember before everything went black was my own hands, his hands, closing around my throat. I woke up. Everything was normal. Except, when I looked at the mirror across the room, I wasn't there. And then, just as I started to process what that meant, I saw him. Smiling. Not trapped. Not stuck. Free. And as he turned away, leaving me behind, taking my place in my life, I knew the truth. No one would ever save me. Because as far as the world was concerned, I was already out there. I don't know how long I stood there, staring at the mirror. At him. He was on the other side, smiling, standing in my bedroom. And I was gone. Not dead. Not anywhere. Just, erased. I raised my hand and pressed it against the cold, smooth glass. It was solid. A barrier. I couldn't push through. I couldn't break it. I was stuck inside. My breath started coming too fast. Too shallow. I turned to look around, desperate for a clue, an escape, anything. And that's when the second horror hit me. My room wasn't my room anymore. The details were wrong, just slightly. My desk was in the same place, but there was nothing on it. No laptop. No coffee mug. No notes from work. My bookshelves were there, but the books were missing. It was empty. Like a copy of my real bedroom, but stripped of everything personal. Everything that made it mine. I turned back to the mirror, my pulse hammering. He was still there. Still smiling. And then, he lifted his hand slowly. And he waved. I screamed. I pounded against the mirror, slamming my fists into the glass so hard my knuckles split open. But there was no sound. No vibration. Nothing. Like the mirror was absorbing everything. He just watched me, his face completely calm, as if he'd been expecting this reaction. Then he turned away. He walked across my room. Picked up my phone, and unlocked it instantly, no hesitation, no wrong passcode. Like he'd done it 1,000 times before. And then, with my hands, he started texting. I stopped. I watched. Horror creeping up my spine as he typed out a message to my boss. "Hey, I need to take a mental health break for a few days. Just feeling a little off. Hope that's okay. He hit send. Then, as if on cue, a reply appeared almost instantly. Of course. Take all the time you need. Let me know if you need anything. My stomach twisted. He was making sure no one missed me. He was covering his tracks. And I was helpless to stop him. Days passed. Maybe weeks. Time in the mirror world didn't work the same way. I didn't get hungry. I didn't get tired. I just existed. Watching. Waiting. And outside, in my real life, he was living as me. He went to work. He answered my emails. He went to the grocery store and bought things I would never buy, weird. Unfamiliar brands. Subtle changes. Little details that no one would ever question. But I noticed. And then, one night, he did something worse. Something that made my blood run cold. He brought someone home. She was someone from work. I didn't recognize her name, but she laughed at his jokes. She smiled at him. And he smiled back. Perfect. Charming. Believable. Like me. Like he'd been practicing. I pressed my palms against the mirror, screaming, pounding, trying to make a sound, anything. She didn't hear me. She didn't see me. But then, for a brief second, she hesitated. Her eyes flicked toward the mirror, toward me, and her smile faltered. I froze. Could she see me? She shook it off. Laughed. Ignored it. And then my reflection, him, leaned in and whispered something in her ear. She laughed again. And this time, it sounded wrong. Like she was forcing it. Like she wasn't sure if she was safe anymore. And then, as she turned away, I saw his face change. For just a split second, when no one was looking. His smile disappeared. And his expression became something inhuman. Something hungry. I had to warn her. But I couldn't speak. I couldn't touch. I could only watch as he led her to my bedroom. My bedroom. I pounded against the mirror, screaming. And this time, she looked back again. Longer. More uncertain. Like she felt something. My heart hammered. She opened her mouth, like she was about to say something. Then he touched her arm. And she froze. For just a second. Like something passed between them. And then she smiled again. That forced smile. That wrong smile. And she followed him inside. The door shut. And I never saw her again. I don't know how long it's been. Weeks? Months? Years? He still lives my life. He still wears my face. No one has ever questioned it. And I'm still here. Still watching. Still screaming without a voice. The world outside the mirror feels further away now. Like it's forgetting me. Like I'm fading. Like I was never real to begin with. And worst of all, the mirror world is filling up. There are others now. Reflections that don't belong to anyone. Faces trapped behind glass, watching their own lives being stolen. And soon, someone else will look too long. Someone else will hesitate at the wrong moment. And another wrong reflection will step through. You might think you're safe. But the next time you look into a mirror, take a closer look. Watch carefully. Wait for the hesitation. And if you see it, just for a second. A flicker too late. A smile that isn't yours. A tilt of the head that doesn't match. Look away. Leave the room. And whatever you do, Never look again. Because if you do, you might just find yourself on the wrong side. And someone else will be living as you forever.